In the last few days, we had the release of Ubuntu 18.04 and the various flavors, the official flavors of Ubuntu, Kubuntu, Xubuntu, Ubuntu Budgie, Ubuntu Mate. I've taken a look at all of those. I've saved the best for last. Today, I'm taking a look at Lubuntu 18.04, Bionic Beaver. Lubuntu 18.04 Bionic Beaver. This is an LTS release, a long-term support release, so Lubuntu 18.04 will be supported until April 2021. That's 3 years of support. Lubuntu is an official flavor of Ubuntu. Let's check out the release announcement here on Lubuntu.me. I guess that's the website here for Lubuntu, Lubuntu.me. Also have a Lubuntu.net website too. I'm not exactly sure which one they consider the official Lubuntu site or not. Anyway, the release announcement doesn't include a whole lot as far as release notes. Mentions they have some new artwork, which we'll take a look at. Of course, we have some system requirements. They recommend 1 gig of RAM to use Lubuntu, but they say 2 gigs would be better because of web-based applications. So what they're talking about here is the LXDE desktop environment is very lightweight. I'm sure it could run just fine on 1 gig of RAM, probably on 512 megabytes. But a lot of your web-based applications, your web browsers, so Firefox, Chrome, they're kind of system resource hogs. So 2 gigs would be better. CPU, as far as your processor, you should have at a minimum a Pentium 4, Pentium M, or AMD K8 CPU. Alright, and then we have some information about release notes. One thing I will mention is Lubuntu Next, which is the LXQt version of Lubuntu, because eventually LXDE is going away, and LXQt is the future. They did not release a Lubuntu Next 18.04, or at least not yet anyway, so I'm not sure when exactly that is coming. But anyway, today I'm going to focus on the LXDE version of Lubuntu 18.04. So let's get started. Alright, I'm going to be installing Lubuntu 18.04 today in a VM in a virtual machine. So the boot menu, we have the options of try Lubuntu without installing. We have the option of install Lubuntu. Then we have check disk, test memory, boot from the first hard disk. I'm going to choose install Lubuntu. We may have to wait a minute or two for the live environment to load up. Let me check while we wait. I did not check on the ISO size. The download size, 1 gig, 1.0 gig, so pretty small ISO. Not a lot of stuff included by default with Lubuntu. Again, it's designed to be lightweight, fast, very minimal. It's designed for older machines primarily, but those of you that are running newer machines, even really high-end machines, would love something like Lubuntu because things are just going to open instantly. You will be shocked at the difference running a desktop like LXDE compared to heavier desktops like GNOME and KDE. Anyway, we're in the installer now. English has been chosen for our language. Just going to go ahead and click continue. Alright, English US has been chosen for our keyboard layout. And I'm going to click continue. Right, we have the options of doing a normal install or a minimal install. The minimal install just includes like the basic LXDE utilities and a web browser. It takes away all the extra cruft like your Office software, your games, your media players. But I'm going to choose the normal installation because I want to see, what's installed by default on a normal install of Lubuntu 18.04. Other options, we have download updates while installing Lubuntu. That's ticked on by default. I'm going to leave that ticked on. Not ticked on by default, install third-party software for graphics, Wi-Fi hardware, and additional media formats. This really does need to be ticked on. To get a proper desktop experience in Linux, you really need to install your third-party proprietary graphics drivers, especially if you're running NVIDIA or AMD cards. You need your Wi-Fi drivers, and you're going to need multimedia codecs to use your media players like VLC or what have you. Anyway, I click continue and we wait a second. Not exactly sure how long it's going to take to get to the next screen. I'm not sure if it's going to go ahead and do those updates now or not. No. It's going to go to the installation type slide here, where we have the option of erase disk and install Lubuntu. Basically, it gives Lubuntu the entire hard drive of this VM. That's what I'm going to choose. We could also go down here and choose something else and manually create our own partitions. I'm just going to choose the first option and let Lubuntu do the automatic partitioning. All right, we have a warning that it's about to format the drive and write to the disk. I'm going to click continue. Alright, time zone. It has correctly chosen the central time zone here in the US for me, so all I need to do is click continue. We need to create our username. I'm going to create the username DT. We need to create a strong and complicated password. Alright, and then we have the options of either logging in automatically or requiring a password to log in. I like to require a password to log in for privacy reasons. Alright, and then we come to the next portion of the installer. This next portion of the installer usually takes between 5 and 10 minutes. So I'm going to pause the video and I'll be back once the installation has completed. Alright, the install has completed. That just took a few minutes. Once the install is completed, you get this screen, installation is complete. You need to restart the computer in order to use your new installation. You always have to reboot the machine when you install a new operating system. That's what I'm going to do right now. Alright, and I've rebooted the machine. This is our freshly installed Lubuntu 18.04 Bionic Beaver. Love that name, Bionic Beaver. And we log into the LXDE desktop environment. Boot up time was very fast. That just took a few seconds just to get to that login screen, maybe 5 seconds. And of course, logging in was very fast too. The LXDE desktop environment loads up very quickly. One thing I do notice though is that the VirtualBox guest editions are not installed or not working out of the box, so we do need to install those. I'm going to take a couple of minutes to install the guest edition so I can get a full screen resolution for this review. Alright, and this time I'm actually going to show you guys me installing the VirtualBox guest editions. I normally don't include this on the videos because I know a lot of you are going to install this on physical hardware, and this is a VirtualBox only thing, installing the guest editions. But for those of you that are doing VirtualBox installs, you need to go to Devices in the menu here. Insert guest editions, and hopefully this auto mounts. Yeah, it asks what to do. Open in File Manager. Alright, and the program we need to run is this one right here, vboxlinuxeditions.run. If I click on it, will it execute? Yeah, it will execute in the terminal. It didn't do anything, so let's see. Let me open up a terminal. Alright, so I've opened up a terminal and we need to change directories. We need to go to /media/dt/vbox, whatever. So, cd/media/dt/ if I just type vbox and then tab, it'll probably autocomplete. It does. Alright, that gets us into this directory here in the terminal. And I want to run this program, vboxlinuxeditions.run. So, I'm going to give it sudo privileges. I think I need to do that to run that, to install the guest editions. Usually to install and remove software, you have to be root. So sudo, I'm going to type sh for shell. Basically run this in the shell, vbox. What was the name of the program? vboxlinuxeditions.run. And I've got to make sure I capitalize everything exactly right. And spell everything right. Alright, it's asking me my root password. And I'm pretty sure this is going to fail. And it did. And the reason I knew it was going to fail is because they're not already installed. There's a reason. It's because it's missing some dependencies. And it tells you actually in the terminal. The terminal will usually give you clues why things are not working for you. It says, please install the GCC, make, and Perl packages from your distribution. You have to have GCC, you have to have make, and you have to have Perl installed on your system in order to install the VirtualBox guest edition. So sudo apt install GCC, make, and Perl. And I'm going to go ahead and, do you want to continue? Yes, of course. And it's going to install those packages, those dependencies. Once we get those dependencies installed, then I can install the VirtualBox guest editions. I normally don't show you guys this because it's a few minutes of video that doesn't apply to a lot of you. But, you know, I usually cut this out, and sometimes you guys ask me, hey, how did you get the VirtualBox guest editions working on something? This is how. So we installed the dependencies we needed. I need to go back and run this program here, again, vbox linux editions.run. So if I hit the up arrow on the keyboard a couple of times, it will go back to that command I previously ran. So sudo shell vbox linux editions.run. And this time it should not fail. It should actually install the guest editions. Yep, it's installing them. This could take a minute or two. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. Once this is done, I'm going to reboot the machine and the guest editions will work. Okay, so I rebooted the virtual machine and the guest editions are now working. We have a proper screen resolution to conduct this review. All right, first impression. Artwork. They mentioned artwork in the release notes. Love the wallpaper. Gorgeous wallpaper, gorgeous theming. The panel at the bottom, the silver panel against the dark theme makes a lot of sense. It looks like a really polished, well put together Linux distribution. Lubuntu has always been kind of attractive, actually. For an older kind of desktop environment, an older desktop paradigm, LXDE can actually be quite attractive. I'm going to go through the LXDE menu here and show you what is installed by default on Lubuntu 18.04. Remember, the ISO was only 1 gig in size, so it's not going to have a lot of stuff on it. Plus, again, this is kind of designed to be more of a minimal, lightweight, fast distribution. So, under accessories, we have Archive Manager. Let's see which Archive Manager. This looks like it might be the GNOME Archive Manager, which is called File Roller. I'm not sure why they went with that one instead of maybe the XFCE Archive Manager or the Mate Archive Manager. That's a strange choice in my opinion, if that is File Roller. Character Map is also under accessories. We have Disk. That is the GNOME Disk tool, I believe. We have the options of formatting a disk, creating a disk image, restoring a disk image, yada, yada, yada. Let's go to the About here. Yeah, this is the GNOME Disk utility. So they're installing some GNOME apps here in LXDE. That's a little shocking to me because the GNOME apps are GTK3 apps. I would think, you know, maybe they would install some older GTK2 apps because that plays a little nicer in a desktop environment like LXDE. Plus, I think they would have put lighter weight, you know, lightweight apps. You know, the GNOME apps, some of them can be kind of heavy. But anyway, the file manager is PCMan-FM. PCMan-FM is your file manager in the LXDE desktop environment. My favorite file manager, by the way. It's light, it's fast, customizable. Really like PCMan-FM. Alright, we have Calculator for our calculator. Safine Calculator, horrible name, Calculator. This is Calculator 2.1.4, a GTK-based scientific calculator. We have different modes. We have basic mode, scientific mode, paper mode, and that's it. So 3 different modes. Also under accessories, we have our image viewer. We have LeafPad, which is our plain text editor. It's a lightweight plain text editor. Very simple program, but it does what you need it to. It's a plain text editor. I mean, it's not like you want a lot out of a plain text editor. Setup hotkeys. I'm not sure what that is. That's a program called LXHotkey. This is where you set all your key bindings. Basically, you tell the OpenBox window manager, which is the window manager in LXDE, you set key bindings to do various things. Like you can have OpenBox do some tiling or whatnot, or you can set key bindings to open certain programs. All right. Also under accessories, we have XPad. XPad is, well, actually, we're not going to take a look at XPad because there was an error enabling XPad auto start, but it is a note-taking application. Okay, it did launch, but we did get an error message here, and we're still getting something going on here. I guess I could write a note here. Let's see, this is a note. All right. Now how do I save it? Delete pad, open new pad, cut to clipboard, paste to clipboard, undo. You know what? Let's just delete it. All right. Get rid of it. But that was XPad, so we have some kind of note-taking application installed by default. Under graphics, we have our document viewer for viewing PDFs. We have MT Paint for a graphic editor. That's pretty cool. So we don't have any kind of like big multimedia and graphics programs. So no Blender, no Inkscape, no GIMP. But MT Paint, a simple, almost Microsoft Paint kind of utility. And we have Simple Scan, which is our scanning utility for those of you that have a scanner. Nowadays, a lot of printers are what they call all-in-one printers that come with, scanners and faxes. Internet, we have Firefox as our default web browser. Firefox is one of the reasons probably that Lubuntu on their website recommended that you need, they recommended 1 gig of memory, but they really said 2 gigs would be better for web-based applications. It's for modern web browsing. A lot of web browsers require a little more RAM than 10, 15 years ago. Also, just the websites themselves require more out of your system. Just viewing some of these websites, you need a little more memory. Let's check out the About Firefox. Firefox Quantum 59.0.2. Alright, under Internet we have Pigeon for our instant messenger client. We have Sylpheed, which is a lightweight email client. I'm wondering why they didn't go with Mozilla Thunderbird. Since you're already putting Mozilla Firefox on the ISO, I'm not sure why you wouldn't just go ahead and add Thunderbird. I think most people would rather have Thunderbird anyway than something like Sylpheed. Transmission is our BitTorrent client. This is another GNOME application. So let's see, Transmission 2.92, a fast and easy BitTorrent client. Alright, under Office we have EbiWord. EbiWord is a lightweight word processor. Let's see, about EbiWord. 3.0.2, we have a link to the EbiWord website. But it's basically a lighter weight version of, say, LibreOffice Writer. Not as full-featured, but again, it's a more minimal program designed to run on older hardware. Also under Office, we have Numeric, which is a lightweight spreadsheet program. So this would be, a lighter weight version of something like LibreOffice Calc. But for those of you that would prefer the actual LibreOffice suite, sudo apt install LibreOffice should get you, the LibreOffice Writer, Calc, presentation, and all that. Alright, under Sound and Video, we have Audacious for our music player. This is a lightweight music player. We have GNOME MPV for our video player. But judging by the name, of course, you probably guessed it's a GNOME app. GNOME MPV 0.13, a GTK front end for MPV. Alright, also under Sound and Video, we have GUVC View, which is a webcam app. Basically, you guys see my head in the screen here. Basically looking at my webcam. GUVC View does something similar. It just opens up a square or a rectangle on the desktop and you view a webcam. Alright, Pulse Audio Volume Control is also listed under Sound and Video, and XFBurn. So we have a disk burning utility installed on the ISO. XFBurn is an XFCE application. Under System Tools, we have FCITX. I'm not sure what that is. I launched it. I'm not sure what that was, though. Guess I should have read the description in the menu. Let me go back there. FCITX. If I hover over it, Start Input Method. Okay. GDebi is a package installer. What this does is it helps you install .deb packages, DEB packages, Debian packages. Just a graphical way of installing them. If you wanted to install deb packages in the terminal, you would use DPKG. Yeah. System Tools, we have HTOP. Let's go ahead and take a look at system resources. And as I expected, very, very lightweight on system resources. Let it settle down here, and we're using less than 1% of the CPU. To be expected. We're using 234 megs of RAM. So very, very lightweight. When I said that, the LXDE desktop environment, you really could get away with 1 gig of RAM or less. You could. The problem comes when you start opening up a lot of modern applications like Firefox and Thunderbird and things like that. They're going to require more RAM than, 234 megs. So 1 gig is the requirement, 2 gigs is the recommendation. Also under System Tools, we have our LightDM GTK greeter settings. What this does is it allows you to customize the login manager, the LightDM login manager, which is where you type your username and your password. We can change the wallpaper, the fonts, things that are on the panel, some of the widgets on the panel. I'm not going to play around with that. Also under System Tools, we have our terminal, which is the LX terminal, the standard terminal in the LXDE desktop environment. LX terminal 0.3.1. It's your standard terminal emulator. Alright, also under System Tools, we have network configuration, printers, software. This should be the software center here. And let's see which software center they're using. They're using the GNOME software utility. You can search by category. You can also click the search bar up here and actually search for a package by name. I mentioned Thunderbird. I would probably replace Sylpheed with Thunderbird. You can start typing Thunderbird, and hopefully it finds the application you're looking for. Oddly enough, it does not find Thunderbird. That is very strange, because I know Thunderbird is in the Ubuntu repos. I am not sure what's going on with that. I might need to do like a sudo apt update or something. I mean, we just installed the system. Might need to run an update, to refresh the repos. Anyway, your standard GNOME Software Center. Also under System Tools, we have our Startup Disk Creator. We have the Synaptic Package Manager also installed. Synaptic Package Manager is one of my favorite utilities. If I'm going to use a graphical package manager on a Debian or an Ubuntu-based system, the Synaptic Package Manager is the one I install. No fancy graphics, no screenshots, none of that. All you do, search for a package. Again, Thunderbird, although I don't think it's going to come up. Let's see if it comes up in Synaptic. Yeah, Thunderbird is here in Synaptic. I don't know why it wasn't in the GNOME software. But anyway, all I got to do now is click Mark for Installation. The checkbox here, hit apply. It's going to tell me what exactly is to be installed, Thunderbird. I hit apply, and Thunderbird is installing. Going to minimize that and let it run. Right, also under System Tools, we have our System Profiler and Benchmark. We have our Task Manager. We've already looked at HTOP, which is a task manager, but they do have a graphical task manager here. And we're still installing software. Now, this task manager is going to show very high CPU usage because we're installing software. It uses a lot of CPU, 100% of the CPU, actually. That's not unusual. That's normal. Memory is also a little higher because we're running that install. All right. And also under System Tools, we have Time and Date, User and Groups. Under Preferences, we have Additional Drivers. You would click that to install your third-party video drivers, Wi-Fi drivers, etc. Bluetooth Manager, we have our Customized Look and Feel program, which is the LX Appearance program. This is where you would go to change your themes, your icons, etc. So I'm going to open up the File Manager. That way we can see exactly the changes I make. By default, the theme is called Lubuntu Default. Makes sense. They also have Lubuntu Dark Panel. Let me hit apply. Okay. It doesn't look quite right. We probably would have to log out and log back in to get this to look right. We have Clear Looks. I hit apply on Clear Looks. Will it take effect? Yeah, the Clear Looks takes effect right away. Have Mist. All right. We have Redmond, which I'm assuming is an old school, like Microsoft Windows theme. Very ugly, actually. Gonna go back to Lubuntu default. It's definitely the best looking theme out of the bunch. For icons, we have the Lubuntu icon set, which is these very nice blue icons. I like those a lot. We also have the humanity icons, your default Ubuntu icons, that orange icon pack. It's not bad either. Then we have the standard Adwaita icon pack, the GNOME icon pack. It's horrible. You're not going to want to use that one. So I'm going to go back to the Lubuntu icon pack. I'm going to close that out. Let's take a look at what kind of wallpapers are installed on the system. I'm going to click on Desktop Preferences. And we have Lubuntu-default-wallpaper.ping set. Let's see what else is offered. Oh, we have one with this bird here. Let me see. Huh, that's actually a really interesting wallpaper. There was only 4 wallpapers in that folder. I kind of like that. You know what? I may just leave that. All right. Getting back to the menu system here. Also under preferences, your standard stuff. Desktop preferences, monitor, keyboard, mouse, network, power. One thing of note is the OpenBox configuration manager. Again, the OpenBox window manager is the window manager in the LXDE desktop environment. And this is where you would go to change your OpenBox theme. So if I open up our file manager again, which is PCMan-FM, if I change the OpenBox theme, you will see the frame of the window changes. The very top bar here and the border around the window, that is actually the window manager. That and also the right-click menu on the desktop is also part of the OpenBox window manager. So as I change themes, you see the bar changes. The menu system would change if it was using the OpenBox menu. It is not. Let me go back to Lubuntu default because the default theme is actually really nice. I mentioned the right-click menu is not the OpenBox menu. You have to go to Desktop Preferences here. Under the Advanced tab, you can click Show Menus provided by the Window Manager. So this will show you menus provided by the OpenBox Window Manager. Now when you right-click, you have an OpenBox right-click menu where you can customize it, add all your apps, add dynamically created pipe menus, which, you can have things like Bash scripts and Python scripts that output stuff into these menus. You can do a whole lot with the OpenBox menus. I'm going to turn it off, though. I'm just going to use the standard LXDE menu here. When you right-click on the desktop, that just gives you, a few choices here. If you really wanted to do something with that OpenBox menu, though, you probably would just want to create an OpenBox session on this. When you go to the LightDM login manager, you're going to have 2 sessions. You're going to have the LXDE session available for you. You're also going to have an OpenBox session. Now, when you log into that OpenBox session, it's just going to be a blank screen and nothing else. You have to actually configure the OpenBox session. I've done videos on how to do that, but it's probably not something for the new Linux user. All right. Let's see. Did we run through everything in the menu system? Yes, we did. The software and update utility is also listed under preferences. That is just your standard software and update utility in Ubuntu, where you can add and remove repositories, get your additional drivers, proprietary video drivers, Wi-Fi drivers, and such. Let me unminimize the Synaptic Package Manager. Thunderbird finished installing, so that was the Synaptic Package Manager. Yeah, I'm really digging the LXDE desktop environment here. One thing I would personally want to do, I'm going to go back to Desktop Preferences here. And under desktop icons, I'm going to unclick all of this. I don't like having icons on my desktop. I like this very clean, minimal look. But yeah, this is something I could use. I'm kind of a lightweight, minimal kind of desktop environment guy. Yeah. So, Lubuntu 18.04 Bionic Beaver. What are my thoughts? Fantastic. What you just saw in this VM, I actually was running Lubuntu 18.04, the beta, on my main production machine that I make these videos on. I was living in it about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I lived in it for, I don't know, week, maybe a week and a half. I actually made some videos while living in it. So it is rock solid on physical hardware. Obviously, it works well in a VM. Had no issues here. I only gave this VM, by the way, 1 core of my 6-core CPU. I gave it 2 gigs of RAM. I gave it the recommended 2 gigs of RAM, and everything just works. The Windows, everything opens up fast. I mean, look how fast that file manager, the PCMan FM file manager, opened and closed. The menu system, see, everything just works. There's really no graphical glitching, you know. There's some slight animations here, but that's purposely done. There's some compositing going on to make things a little more attractive. But yeah, LXDE. I love the LXDE desktop environment, mainly because it's so lightweight, so fast, and it's stable. The LXDE desktop environment is not saying a whole lot as far as development. Nothing ever really changes in it. LXDE looks the same as the LXDE I ran 5 years ago. It looks the same as the LXDE I ran 10 years ago. Mainly because the project is kind of a dead project. I mean, there's still some work going on with it, but really, LXDE is moving away from LXDE, and they're all really focused on LXQT. That is the future for a lightweight, minimal desktop environment, is LXQt, and that will eventually be what Lubuntu will be based on, is the LXQt desktop environment. But LXDE, I love LXDE. I love the open box window manager too. That's one of the big reasons why I love Lubuntu and LXDE. So, my verdict on Lubuntu 18.04 Bionic Beaver. The install gets an A+, rock solid, very fast, easy. The desktop environment gets an A+. Guys, especially if you're running older hardware, a machine that struggles to run something like GNOME or KDE, I strongly recommend give Lubuntu a try. Before I go, I do want to give a special thanks to all my patrons, all my Patreon supporters, A.K. Ron, Mr. Neelypops, John, Brian, Carl, Greg, Carlos, Rob, Matt, Dark One, Mark, Christian, Jake, Benjamin, Steven, Marcus, Interceptor, Bob, and Leor. You guys rock. You guys help make this show possible. Peace, guys.